hearing of the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, joint with the Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, Finance and Public Information and Mass Media is hereby called to order. So ulitin ko, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thanks for coming, and the Chair acknowledges the presence of our, no less than, the Senate President, Senate President Tito Soto, and from the minority, the leader of, one of the leaders of the minority bloc, Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Okay. Who else here? Okay. And others will be arriving. So with at least 2 senators present, there is clearly the presence of a quorum. So Attorney Dana Mendiola, our committee secretary, will acknowledge now the presence of our resource persons.
Good morning. The Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, joined with the Committees on Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, Finance and Public Information and Mass Media, would like to acknowledge the presence of our resource persons, of our distinguished guests. Executive Director Jose Tolentino, former Chairman Sixto S. Brillantes Jr., former Commissioner Christian Robert S. Lim, Mr. Eli Moreno, Attorney Victor P. Lazatin, Mr. Eric Jude Albia, Dr. Arwin Serrano, Mr. Orlando Sales, Mr. Hector Barrios, Ms. Maricor Acol, Attorney Emilio Marañon, Attorney Maria Luz Delfin, Mr. Barbie Atienza, Ms. Charmaine Bautista Pamintuan, Attorney Rudyard Arbolado, Dr. Sani Coloma, Attorney Cesar J. Poblador, Attorney Glenn Chong, that's all, Mr. Chair.
Anyway, Madam Secretary just recognized the resource persons as they arrive. Later just call my attention. So, ulitin ko po, salamat po that you are all here. We have a full agenda for today, ranging from bills on local absentee voting plus early voting, bills on regulating the rates of political propaganda, bills on increasing the overall budget for campaigns, and then we will also do some formalities like disposing of some resolutions and bills which are already moot and academic. And we will also take up the privileged speech of the Senate President delivered on March 6 and 14, 2018, which raises four issues. Okay, so maybe we can, Attorney Dana, let's go first with the easiest part of disposing these moot and academic matters. What are these? Okay, so let's go to motion. Okay. So if there is no objection from the committee members, we will now archive House Bill number 7378, which was referred to this committee. This is entitled An Act Postponing the May 14, 2018 Synchronized Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan Elections, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 9164 as amended by Republic Act number 9340, Republic Act number 10656, and Republic Act number 10923, and Republic Act number 10952. Mr. Senate President.
I so move.
Okay. So
House Bill 7378 and the proposed Senate Resolution 376 as well, we archive.
We archive for being moot and academic. So there being no objection, the chair rules that we do so. But the proposed Senate resolution is about calling on the Senate to immediately constitute and convene the JCOC on the AES, which we have already done. Okay, so let's now proceed to our pending bills. On the local absentee voting, and let's discuss this together with the early voting. So maybe in the discussion we can distinguish the two concepts. So Senate Bill number 301, Senate Bill number 1111 and House Bill number 5661. So, can we get the inputs? We start with the chair of the COMELEC, who is here, Chairman Sherif Abbas.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. I would like to call Mr. Chair, the Director of the ECAD, for us to give our comment on the proposed bill. May we call Director Abaya. Yes, sir.
Director Abaya, yes, you've been recommended by the chair to be recognized. So please, here, next to Attorney to Mr. Oxales.
Good morning, Senate President, honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen. Insofar as the bill proposed by the Honorable Senator De Lima, sir, considering that the bill proposes for the local absentee voting for members of the AFP and the PNP, we would like to inform the honorable body that there is already a law providing for local absentee voting for the members of the AFP and the PNP. Particularly Section 12 of Republic Act 7166. Insofar as the members of the media are concerned, we also have a law already passed, which is Republic Act 10380. In the bill proposed, there is also an extension, proposed extension of the system to election lawyers, including their support staff, and also the electoral staff of candidates for the national posts. Yes, sir. So, on these personalities, we still do not have a law. So, our comment, sir, is that maybe we could just ask for a definition of who are considered the electoral staff of the candidates, so that we can properly identify them when they will apply for the system once the law is passed. Another thing, sir, we noticed in the proposed bill that only lawyers for candidates for national positions are allowed. How about the lawyers for candidates for local positions? Yes, sir. And also for lawyers for political parties, they may also want to avail, considering that all of these are similarly treated. We also have a question, sir, on how many lawyers or electoral staff should be allowed. Because under the proposed bill, it only states here that they should not be more than the total number of local government units. Our question, sir, is should we not provide for a limit per political number of applicants per political unit or subdivision, instead of a general number or limit? And also, sir, we would like to inquire from the committee, how about extending also the system, the privilege of availing of the local absentee voting to other sectors, because in our committee, sir, we have received requests, particularly from the National Grid Corporation, where their personnel are assigned on election day to man the electric requirements. In the last election, sir, we did not allow them, considering that they are not government officials. So probably the committee can also look into that. Also, we have requests from security guards, from medical practitioners who are on duty during election day. So that will be our comments, sir, for this bill. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, but this bill, I think, already provides the maximum number because we know the number of provinces, we know the number of cities and the municipalities. So, hindi lang niya na-specify yung actual number, but we can compute that, right? What is the name of your committee, Director?
The Committee on Local Absentee Voting, sir.
Committee on Local Absentee. So, any other comments on the bills on local absentee and early? Director, can you make of record the distinction between local absentee voting and early voting? Because there is a bill on early voting. Magkaiba po yun, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, under the current system of local absentee, only the positions for national, only the candidates for national positions are elected. And those who apply are those who are assigned outside their places of registration. Whereas in early voting, those who apply, those who want to avail of this system can apply and vote in their areas of registration. And they can vote for local positions. So, in the local absentee voting, the counting of the ballots cast is done at the central office. Whereas, yes, by our committee, sir. Whereas, in the early voting system, the counting will be done in the respective precincts where the applicants or the voters voted.
And we do not have yet an early voting system.
As of now, yes, sir, none yet.
Yeah, and while we already have a local absentee voting system.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, any other inputs, observations from our guests? I'm not expecting from the media, but from the about those involved, like Namfren, Mr. Barrios. Mr. Barrios, please. Sorry.
I'm from the Center for People Empowerment, CENPEC. I'm a fellow. I only have a suggestion. I don't know the system or process provided for absentee voting, but I should like to suggest na ingatan po mabuti yung controls. Medyo baka maapektuhan po rito yung mga batch controls, which we do normally to ensure that the total votes cast is equal to the total votes issued. Yun lang po aking suggest. Thank you.
Tsaka, Director Abaya, no? Abaya. For example, there will be 80 candidates for senator. I-simplify na natin, 1,000 yung total number of possible electoral staff nila. So you will have 80,000 new voters in your local absentee voting. Do you foresee a problem with this? How many voters do you have currently in the last election?
In the 2016 election, sir, there were about 24,000
20,000 plus
who applied. Yes, sir.
Yes, di ba? 20,000. Now, magta-times 4 or times 5 ka. Can the committee handle?
Yes, sir. We do not find any problem with that. We can accommodate them.
Any other? I would like to acknowledge the presence of the minority leader, Senator Frank Drilon.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Senate President.
perhaps the information that we have gathered would give your committee enough to lead our input to finalize whatever the committee would prefer doing for Senate Bill 301, 1111, and 5661. Thank you.
But this system of early voting requires or necessitates another round of registration. Tama po ba yun, Director Abaya?
We only need to gather a list or make a list of who will apply from among those who are PWD senior citizens. But they are already registered. They should already have applied for registration in the regular registration proceedings.
Well, since we don't have an early voting system now, so there are already PWDs and senior citizens in our voters
Registry,
list.
yes,
So how will they now? Let us say we adopt this into law. How will they now apply for this one? Another round. You will designate a period where they will now register.
Yes, sir. For them to file their manifestation to avail, because this is only in addition to their, if they want to vote in the regular precincts, or whether to apply for early voting.
Okay, so we will now leave those three bills because unless there are other inputs, no more. So let us now proceed to the privileged speeches of the Senate President, which raises 4 issues, which I will raise as follows. Number 1, early transmissions in the 2016 in the 2016 elections. Early transmissions, an access of a foreign server into our election server, queuing servers, and then the untransmitted election returns. Okay. So, Senator Soto, the Senate President.
Mr. Chairman, may we ask that the COMSEC give the oath to all the resource persons and all the invited guests.
Okay, since this is this has a fact-finding nature also, so the committee secretary, Attorney Minjola, will now administer the oath to all of you, just so that you will be free to participate in the discussion or to share what you know about this issue.
May all resource persons please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
We do. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Can I ask the committee secretary to name the new arrivals?
Miranda, Attorney Attorney Demosthenes B. Donato, Mr.
Okay na. Okay, so they
Yes.
they all took their oaths. Okay, I will now, at this point, I will now recognize the Senate President to deliver the 2 privileged speeches.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for calling this public hearing. It's many have awaited this chance to be enlightened on the 2 privileged speeches that I delivered. So, with your permission and with the permission of our colleagues, may I go direct to the questions because I'm sure they all had copies of the privileged speeches. So my first question is directed to both the COMELEC and to Smartmatic. Gentlemen, on March 2018, I should say, I requested COMELEC for the logs of its domains name server DNS named CNDA DNS. However, what was given by the COMELEC was a statement of votes and not the computer logs. these were submitted to Senator Escudero. And recently I was informed that COMELEC on April 12, 2018 provided a snapshot of the logs to Senator Escudero as chairperson of the JCOC. Can you also provide us now a copy of these logs? These logs were the early transmissions that I mentioned in my privilege speech, which started on May 8th, one day before election, and a number of them. So can you give us also provide the Committee on Electoral Reforms a copy of these logs, COMELEC?
Yes, sir. We can give you the copy of the logs.
Can we have it done?
Again, wala po, sir, ngayon. But I think within the week, sir, we can provide the logs. Tomorrow, we can continue.
The logs that you have and the ones that you submitted to Senator Escudero, are they complete?
Good morning, Your Honor. The request of the JCOC was for us to give even just a snapshot of the DNS logs, and that is what we did, Your Honor. But we can provide this committee with a complete log by tomorrow afternoon, sir.
So, do I take it that you're saying that the ones that you have and that the ones that you submitted to the JCOC are complete?
No, sir. It's just a snapshot, meaning we just printed several pages. We did
Starting from what day?
I'm sorry, sir. I could not recall, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I was expecting COMELEC to be present today in this hearing, complete with answers and ammunition. Hingi lang tayo hihingi. They'll give us in a few days. Paano naman mangyayari sa atin dito? What will the people think?
This is Mr. Senate President, this is what I've gathered from the Secretariat. They submitted logs, but starting May 9, 17:15, so that means 5 p.m. 5 p.m. na to, 5:15 p.m. While the issue is early transmission, the relevant date would be May 8, 2016. So it's true that they submitted logs, but it's not on the relevant date, Mr. Senator.
All right, so it is confirmed that the log activities that they have and submitted started only in the afternoon of May 9, 2016, Mr. Chair, if that is what is in our possession.
Yes, that is what I see, sir.
All right. In that case, to COMELEC and Smartmatic, can you verify the logs that I have in my possession, which are dated May 8 and then May 9 a.m., early morning of May 9? Can you verify these logs? And are these logs logs of the CNTA DNS?
Your Honor, I saw the...
Very,
we have a copy.
now minimal ang local.
A resource person that I invited have copies of these secure logs, Mr. Chair, and also the lawyer of my source is also here. So in case
Landed cost.
do we have it?
Kahit keep ko ganito rin ang mark, yeah. Kaya that we prefer the imported at this point. I don't know about quality. But I consider the same quality.
So can you verify these logs, COMELEC or SmartMat?
Attorney Tolentino.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we saw that in the as one of the in the presentation of the privilege speech, Your Honor. And while it appears to be the same log that we have, we still have to verify it. The logs are too many, sir. It's very voluminous, and we'll just have to verify each and every one. And if I may be allowed to add, sir, we gave the Senate Electoral Tribunal a complete set of the logs because we were subpoenaed.
Yes, but you submitted the logs starting May 9.
No, sir. For the SET, for the SET, it was complete, sir.
Complete.
Yes, sir.
But that's the separate body from the Senate. You see, Mr. Chair, the logs are footprints of the activities of one system. Now, one example, which is an activity from a certain DCM transmitting to the Municipal Board of Canvassers, canvassing in a consolidating center of Tugaya, Lanao del Sur, at 1:12 a.m. of May 9, prior to the opening of the election. So, how can you explain this? And as you said, the early logs that I am showing, sabi ni Mr. Tolentino, the Executive Director Tolentino, too many. Therefore, hindi na kagad tama yung sinabi ng spokesman ninyo na testing transmission. Too many.
So the logs would contain all the activities done to the BCM. So that would include the testings made, such as the final testing and sealing or the transmission diagnostic tests.
And, well, final testing and sealing May 2 to 6, if I'm not mistaken, 2016. When is this transmission
Yes, sir.
diagnostic test?
The final testing and sealing provides for that date, sir, up to 6. However, we have also issued COMELEC Resolution 10101, April 26, which provides for the contingency procedures, such that if the PEIs are unable to conduct the FTS during that period, they can still do it even on election day. So they could have done that between 6 and 9.
Teka, how about the other tests? Yung transmission, is that part of FTS?
No, sir.
Transmission, also separate.
Transmission diagnostic test is also under Resolution 10057, February 11, which is just to find out if transmission is okay and that there is a connection between the telcos.
And if
It only has a header, it does not contain any results, it only has the ID of the clustered precinct which attempted to transmit.
when should that be done?
It's on election day, sir. So,
On election day, are you sure?
transmission diagnostic.
Yes, former Commissioner Lim.
Your Honor, if you look at the FTS procedure compared to 2010 and 2013, no? In 2010, 2013, when you had an FTS, you didn't have any transmission. One of the innovations in 2016 was it included, because of the low transmission rate in 2013, it included a transmission test, and that's part of the FTS, Your Honor. And it just sends a data packet containing the header of the precinct, so you will know. But it will not send to the CCS, but to the central server. So it's just a check, Your Honor, if at that level of the precinct, it can get connectivity.
Mr. Chair, ang tanong doon kung yes, it's allowed in testing, ilan? Ilang beses magte-testing? Isang PCM. papunta sa Municipal Board of Canvassers.
Isa lang po, kung until magsabi na nag-succeed siya, so itigil na po.
I'm presenting 458 for only one area in Bicol. Ang hinihingi namin, itong secure logs na to, ano laman ito? Ano laman nito mga tinasmit na ito na maaga ng May 8? What is, ano laman? Contesting transmission yung 458. Ano laman?
If I may, Your Honor. Your Honor, based on the logs, Your Honor, it would appear that the logs are just showing that they are searching for an address. No, they're not yet transmitting anything, Your Honor. It's a DNS search, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, may I request that my resource person be recognized, Tony Glencho.
Ni Chong, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Senate President. These slides, sir, is actually a comparison between the excerpts from the DNS log file, as shown by the privileged speech of Senator Soto, as compared to excerpts of the log file that was also provided by the Commission on Elections to the Senate Electoral Tribunal, which was obtained by subpoena. So if you will go over that, they actually match. It's a perfect match. The Commission on Elections does not have to go through line by line. Just look at certain sections of it. That one, for example, the white one, next slide please, that's a perfect match. The COMELEC can go over there and see word for word, line for line, and see if it is not a match. The black one is yung galing kay Senator Soto, Senate President Soto. The white one is from the SET as subpoena, submitted by the Commission on Elections. It's a match. So ibig po sabihin, totoo po yung sinabi ni Senator Soto. Next slide please. That is also a match on another part of the same DNS logs shown by Senator Soto and excerpts from the COMELEC provided DNS log file. Next slide please. That one is from Senate President Soto. Next slide. That one is from the Commission on Elections. They can check it for themselves. Letter by letter, word for word, number by number, they match. Next slide please. That is also from Senator Soto. Next slide please. That is also from COMELEC, the first three and the last three. Now, kanina po, sinabi po ng COMELEC, ang palusog po nila, and I would like to ask your honors, if that is their final answer, that if these early transmissions are final testing and sealing, is that po the final answer of the COMELEC?
Mr. Chair, the witness is not supposed to ask questions here.
May I ask that question? Is that really? I'm adopting the question.
Thank you, sir.
Is it really the final answer?
What a friend.
In the meantime, let me acknowledge now the presence of Senator Binay. She's here with us. Thank you, Senator. What's the answer?
The person in charge of the transmission, sir, is Mr. Roderick Ilagan. May I ask him to respond to the question?
Sure, perhaps Mr. Ilagan.
Mr. Ilagan, please
Vacancy.
state also your designation. And the Secretary will administer the oath to Mr. Ilagan.
Kindly raise your right hand. Kindly state your name,
I'm Roderick Ilagan,
position, and office.
Information Technology Officer of Commission on Election.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Delagan, may you answer the query that was posed to us by Attorney Chong?
The query is that, sir, if I may, the query is that whether it is a early transmission or an FTS. For us, sir, based on the logs that we have, that is the query of the FTS activity, because that's the only time the machine is querying to the server that CCS Pilipinas. That's the name of the server, sir.
But your diagnostic test, the one is different from the actual transmission. Diba? Section 33 ito ng resolution niya ba ito sa ano? FTS, no transmission will be performed. May ask again, may ask Attorney Chong again for the last question you were posing.
Sir, I was asking if these early transmissions, last final answer po ng COMELEC is final testing and sealing po ba? I'm only asking for an answer na yes or no, if it is final or not.
Or sealing?
Is it final testing and sealing or some
secure logs that I presented in my speech.
Based on the log, sir, I cannot determine if this is a final testing of sealing because it just says a query. It does not say a transmission yet, but a query on the network.
So, Attorney Chong.
Sir, ang ibig ko pong sabihin is pinanindigan po ba ng COMELEC na yung early transmissions are final testing and sealing? Yun lang naman po eh. Kasi ito lang yung sagot nila. That's final testing and sealing to explain na merong early transmissions. So I'm asking the COMELEC if that is their final answer po because I'm going to answer them also.
Obviously, that's the only answer that they could give because, yes.
Yes, just a clarification. Final testing is different from a query because the final testing, and my understanding is, a final testing actually means that it has reached the main frame or main computer from the precinct. Tama ba yun? Yun yung final testing. Pero pagka query pa lang, hindi pa siya umaabot sa nagtatanong pa lang siya. Tama ba yun? So these are two different things. The query that you're saying here, unless it reaches the headquarters, meaning nakakonect, yun merong final transmission. Pero pag query pa siya, wala pang transmission na nangyayari. Tama ba yun?
Tama, sir.
So sa tanong niya, ito ba ay final testing? Ang sagot mo, kung ito ay umabot sa headquarters at na-transmit, yes, it's final testing. Pero kung ito ay query pa lamang at hindi pa umaabot sa headquarters, hindi pa nagtatransmit.
Correct, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
yes,
the DNS works this way po. The PICOS or the VCM, hindi po niya alam kung kanino po ipapadala yung resulta. Hindi po niya alam kung kanino ipapadala yung resulta. So, pupunta po siya kay DNS server, which is a domain name system server, which acts as a directory assistance. Nagtatanong po siya, sino po ba ito si transmission code 1730? Kasi hindi ho alam ni makina, ni VCM, kung kanino ipapadala yung 1730. So, si DNS, ang magsasabi sa kanya, doon mo yan ipapadala sa ganitong munisipyo. Munisipyo A sa probinsya B. So, that's the second step for the machine. What we are looking at is the DNS server log, the first part po. So, ang question po ngayon, bakit may nagtatanong na po sa May 8 pa lang? Ang sagot po ng COMELEC, final testing and sealing yan. Kaya po, gusto ko pong malaman if it is a final answer nila, including Smartmatic, because noticeably Smartmatic is very silent. Kasama po sila dyan, because if pinanindigan nila na final and testing and sealing po ito, then I will counter them with my next slide, sir.
So, is it your final testing and sealing? These queries, these transmissions, queries as pointed out by Senator Carolina?
Good morning, sir. I believe these are final testing and sealing or diagnostic transmission results. The only way to assure that is to look at the logs of the VCMs because as it's been stated, These are logs of the DNS, and it does not show any type of result being transmitted, sir.
Sir?
Yes, Attorney Joe.
That's exactly what I want to hear. Next slide, please. Yung FTS counter-argument.
Before that, the witness, Attorney Chong, is getting all of this data
Sir, that's from the SET po.
from the
Senate Electoral Tribunal because
this
it was
was
subpoenaed, sir.
subpoenaed.
Yes,
These
sir.
are the records subpoenaed by the SET from the COMELEC
Yes,
and
sir.
submitted. So
Yes,
these
sir.
are records from the SET.
Yes, sir. Public records na po yan, sir.
Thank you.
FTS counter-argument. Sir, malinaw po, let me restate, sinabi po ni Smartmatic, we have to look at the audit logs to find out if it is a final testing and sealing or it is a diagnostic test. Hindi po, yan, are not FTS. No. Previous. Ito po, yan. Is that the first slide po? Sir, okay. The early transmissions are not FTS. This is what I want to show to the honorable senators. Next slide, please. That is, the black one is from Senator Soto. It says excerpts from the DNS logs of SP Soto III. Then you compare that one with the excerpts from the DNS log file of the COMELEC as provided to the Senate Electoral Tribunal. They're a match. Transmission code 1730 refers to the municipality of Ragay, Camarines Sur. Next slide, please. Ito po yun, ang transmission code 1730 sa kay Senator Soto. Then the next one, rest po. 1730 also in the COMELEC log. Next slide, please. That is a list of all the audit logs. As Smartmatic is telling us, Your Honor, they all bear the code 1730, 1730. So iniisa-isa ko po yan. I spent several hours going over each of those audit logs. Next slide, please. It looks like that. That is the audit log, the record of all events, transactions, occurrences within the computer, within the VCM that is recorded in detail by the machine. So isa-isahin po natin, Your Honor. Please po. Makikita po natin that the system was shutting down on May 5. Then, it was restarted on May 9. There was no transaction on May 8. Next slide, please. I'm showing you 10 examples out of 62 precincts. But I have already examined them. Isa-isa po, wala pong May 8. There was no transaction whatsoever on May 8. It's all May 5. All testing and sealing occurred on May 5. And then the next time that the machine was switched on, it was already May 9. Wala pong May 9, wala pong May 8 yan. Therefore, that's why I was asking if this is a final answer of the COMELEC and Smartmatic. And Smartmatic already said na dyan makikita sa audit log, and the audit log shows walang transmission. Walang buhay na makina in Ragay, Camarines Sur on May 8.
So,
next slide.
Ano nangyari dito? Smartmatic and COMELEC, ano nangyari?
Before you answer, Attorney Chong.
Yes, sir.
So from the log in the DNS, you got a code which led you to the municipality of Ragay.
Camarines Sur, yes, sir.
But it did not give you the specific BCM. Which
No, sir.
So you analyzed
everything.
How many BCMs
62.
in Ragay? 62.
62, yes, sir.
You analyze all
Yes,
the logs?
I looked for every one of them. So
Yeah,
that's
all,
why I'm
all.
showing 10.
You're saying
yes.
all, huh?
Yes, all.
And then, pattern, May 5,
May 5, May 9.
shutdown, May 9.
Yes, sir.
Reboot. Okay.
I'm showing 10 examples. Just for...
You just showed 10 examples,
Yes,
but you
I showed
examined 62.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's clear. So we need an explanation kung ganon.
Kasi sabi nila, it's a final answer, final testing and sealing, and it's their final answer. Now, we can show, walang makinang buhay on May 8. Now, sino ang nag-transmit yan?
Nasusundan na kita, how?
Yes, sir.
Naiintindihan ko na. Because
Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
The Senate President has a question to the COMELEC to answer.
Next slide, please.
Who can answer, please? Di ba may tanong ka? May tanong.
Yes. Sino yung nagpadala ng transmission ng May
Sir,
Yes.
sir, may we be allowed to verify all the statements because Attorney Chong says there is no transmission on May 8, but the Senate President says there is.
No, yes, who? That's why we're asking who.
That's why, sir. So may we be allowed to verify first? Because I think the most important thing here, Your Honors, is to find out where the transmissions, or did the transmission send any result to the CCS?
Right. Let me, Mr. Executive Director, let me cut you there. No, I need to place into the records also some information that I gathered, and you can verify later on. And, it seems that you will have to do a lot of investigation here. There are allegations that there were fake or cloned machines that was used in 2016. And these were the ones that were transmitting. Oh, merong ganong claim. I'm not saying that that's from me. Kaya siguro baka may sasagot kayo. Kung saan nanggaling yung mga transmissions ng May 8.
Okay, sir, we will verify that allegation, sir.
All right, I'll accept that for now. Now, yes, another point before I move on to another point, Attorney Chong, yes?
Yes, Your Honor, I would just like to place this in the right perspective. Sinabi po ni Executive Director Tolentino, the issue is kung may pumasok po na resulta. That's wrong. The issue here is bakit may nagtatransmit when there is supposed to be no transmission at all on those days. Yun po, malinaw po yung labag sa batas. Labag po yun sa protocols nila. It's not about whether may votes na pumasok or hindi. Ang question is, may nag-attempt, whether it's an attempt or not, it is already a violation, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, Senator Pangilinan. I just want to be clarified. Late transmissions are illegal? Is that what you're saying? That any, or early, sorry. There is a period of transmission allowed. My understanding is the testing is May 2 to 6. May 2 to 6, dyan ang testing. So may mga testing transmission yan. Beyond that, nahuli. Ibig sabihin, lumampas na ng May 6, ibig sabihin, hindi na pumasok doon sa deadline. So late. Yung bang late na yon, yung late dahil lampas na sa May 6, illegal ba yun?
Hindi ba? Allowed siya ng COMELEC Reso 10101. Di ba? Tama po
Kasi
ba yan?
sinasabi, that is against the law. Yung lumampas sa May 6, tama ba yun? Against the law ba yun? Kasi,
No, sir.
Parang bakit ka pa nagtatransmit kung tapos na yung transmission period? Di ba? Dapat wala nang transmission. Tama? Bakit merong mga transmission ng May 8? Yun, illegal yun. Yung ba yung sinasabi mo, that's against the law?
No, sir. With respect to final testing and sealing that exceeds beyond May 6, hindi siya illegal. What I'm trying to point out is that when you cannot trace any particular machine as having actually sent it, that becomes illegal. Because you cannot pinpoint anymore. These are not legitimate machines. The ones that is producing this in Ragay in particular is not a legitimate one because all the 62 were testing and sealing on May 5. There was no transaction whatsoever on May 8. They went back alive only on May 9 in the morning. But the DNS log, the directory service that they had used, may natanggap siyang query on May 8. On May 8, na nagtatanong, sino po ito si 1730? So that's make it illegal and questionable, highly questionable, Your Honor. That's my point, sir. And besides, sir, yung sinasabi po nilang testing na transmission, sir, if you will look at the audit logs, merong mga nag-a-attempts po ng transmission, pero most of them, hindi po talaga transmission, testing lang po ng signal.
So as mentioned by Comelec, there are, and you allowed it, testing and transmissions even before May 9. Di ba? May 8, pinayagan yan, to testing transmissions. So, kasama sa mga inihiling namin sa inyo, may we now ask you to submit to us copies of municipalities who conducted FTS or testing transmissions in the wee hours of May 8 and May 9. May mga nag-conduct, di ba? So, submit nyo sa amin, sino-sino yung mga nag-conduct na yan. So, with that, may I move on to another topic of my privilege speech? Oh, yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Well, may I address this question to the Comelec? Attorney Chong said that he got this record from the records of the Comelec as subpoenaed by the SET. Now, is that that's on the record? Now, was the logs from Ragay Camarines Sur submitted to the SET? To this SET? Was it?
Yes, sir. Complete, sir.
No. What it was submitted to the Senate Electoral Tribunal or to the Presidential Electoral Tribunal?
To the SET, Your Honor.
To the SET.
Yes, sir. We were issued a SET.
Why to the SET? Was that part of the protest of Tolentino to regarding?
Yes, sir. Tolentino and Delima.
Okay.
Your Honor, I mean, I think when Attorney Chong was pointing out the logs, he just said that one half of that part came from the SET. Now, I don't know where the other half came from. He said to compare the two and it will match. So maybe if you can ask Attorney Chong where the other half came from.
Okay, can you respond to that, Attorney Chong?
Sir, he may have not understood me or he was not listening to me.
Okay,
I was referring
please,
to...
Mr.
Yes,
Chong,
I'm sorry.
Stop the insults,
Yes,
all right? Only senators are allowed to insult here.
What I'm referring to... Thank you, sir. Thank
not
you.
a witness, okay?
What I'm trying to point out is that the DNS, that's only one half. That's what I'm showing here, sir. The other half would be, you may look at the audit logs, which will complete the entire picture. That's what I meant, sir. Hindi ho yung literally hinati ko yung log test, pinakita ko yung half at hindi naman yung the other half. No. What I'm referring to is the different systems.
I guess questions are raised here because you are known to be the counsel of Bongbong Marcos,
No,
and therefore your
No,
views
sir.
here might be.
For the record, sir, I don't.
Are you not the counsel of
No,
Bongbong
sir.
Marcos? But you have represented Bongbong Marcos in the proceedings before the PEP.
No, sir.
Oh,
No,
come
sir.
on.
No, sir. Honestly.
I have here a letter of Attorney Garcia, counsel for Mr. Marcos, who mentions you as one of the representatives, alternate representative. This is a letter
Sir.
addressed to the Comelec on March 17, 2017.
Sir, they can review the logs there of the CCTV if they have found my soul there. Wala po ako doon, sir. My name was just there, but I never went there.
I'm looking.
Yes, sir. I'm not denying that. It may be there, but I never went to the SET, not PET.
But
PET.
yes, I did
Not for
say
any
that you,
instance.
that you went to the SET. I'm just saying that you are nominated as a representative of Bongbong
I may have been
Marcos
nominated,
request.
but I didn't accept the nomination, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At any rate, ganito, no? The claim of Attorney Chong is that the data in his PowerPoint came from submissions to the SET by the COMELEC of the logs of the DNS. You will have time to double-check his statement. If he is found to be not accurate or misleading, as we will sanction him. Kaya may time po kayo. Kaya ni Atty. Chong yun. So malakas ang loob niya. So you will have time when you go back to the office to double-check. Kayang-kaya nyo double-check yun. Ang dali. May 8, may oras pa. 5 p.m. yata yun or something like that. Okay? Then you tell us kung mali o hindi.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, just to complete the picture, because it might be misinterpreted by others. Attorney Chong is just an invited resource person here. He was not my source. My source is being represented by Attorney Baligod. And if necessary, I will present him if necessary. But just to make, baka akala kasi ng mga nakinig ng privilege speech ko at saka nitong mga nangyayari ngayon, si Atty. Chong yung source ko nito mga ito. Hindi. Ang source ko, saksakan ng lalim, hindi nyo kayang baliktarin. Sigurado ako, kaya alam ko yung sabit nyo. Atty. Baligot, yes.
Thank you, Honorable Senate President. I am representing two potential material witnesses who can prove the allegations made by Senate President Soto in his twin speeches. Basically, the three material allegations that they can prove are the following. First, that there was a queue server used which was unauthorized and which was malicious. It was unauthorized because it was not included in the transmission diagram presented or submitted by Smartmatic to COMELEC and which the COMELEC approved. Second, this queue server, the source code of the queue server was not subjected to review. And third, this queue server was responsible in unbundling transmission packages. Number 4, it was used as a gateway in the transmission of results. And lastly, it was heavily used only on May 10 to 11, 2016. So let me give a brief explanation, Your Honor, on why it is important to look into this deeper.
Just a parliamentary inquiry. Should not the witnesses of the lawyer, rather than the lawyer, be speaking here? We have a rule that only resource persons can speak and that they be assisted by counsel. Right now, we have counsel speaking and without the witnesses. How do we go about this,
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Attorney Baligot is here to explain, he is explaining why he is here. He is saying that he's representing my source, and he's placing on record what my source is saying.
May I, Your Honor?
I will allow you to continue. You're summarizing what the witnesses will actually explain. And we know that you are not testifying on your own personal knowledge. Alam na namin yun. So we will now know what weight we will give to your statements because you are not the person who has personal knowledge. Yes. So at least with that caveat, I will allow you. Okay, please go ahead.
And just one more thing, the reason that I wanted him recognized is because there are people who are thinking that Attorney Chong is my source. He's not. I have nothing to do with him.
Struck this one, kasi we want this to apply to next year's election. So please cooperate and help us.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sure.
Okay, so we will move on. Thank you very much
Thank you,
Your Honor.
industry players. Let's move on to the Senate bill and the House bill, which both now touch on the allowable per voter expenditure for the different candidates, different levels of government. So, has the COMELEC studied the said bills?
Yes.
Yeah, may we have
I refer to Director Bagat.
Director, please.
Good afternoon again, Your Honor. The Commission on Elections, Your Honor, is consistent with this, Your Honor. We welcome and support any passage of a bill, Your Honor, that will increase the amount of allowable expenditures to be made by the candidates and political parties, Your Honor. Your Honor, we have Your Honor comment on the particular. We have comment, Your Honor, on these bills. particularly, Your Honor, that Your Honor, we are requesting, Your Honor, an insertion of provision that the commission elections have an authority, Your Honor, to revisit or look into this amount, Your Honor, for a period of, for example, Your Honor, 3 years or every 6 years. Your Honor, yes, sir. Your Honor, this is like the same authority, Your Honor, that you granted to the commission in extra law, wherein yes, sir. Your Honor, in Republic Act number 10756, an act rendering election service non-compulsory for public school teachers, authorizing the appointment of other qualified citizens, Section 4 thereof, Your Honor, which allows the Commission to review in consultation with DepEd every 3 years, Your Honor, from the effectivity of the law, the amount of the honoraria to be given with the members of DepEd. So, Your Honor, we would like, Your Honor, the same provision be given to us, a reviewing authority, probably with consultation, Your Honor, with Bangko Sentral and the political parties, Your Honor, so that in fixing the rates, so that they will become applicable from time to time, Your Honor.
Let the law fix a new rate, and then after a certain number of years, it will now be the COMELEC which should adjust. Yun ang hinihingi ninyong power.
Kasi saan nangyayari, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
kung hindi continuing, natetenga yung amount. So, same with ESRA, binigyan kami ng authority na i-assess namin from time to time. So, every 3 years, pwede namin taasan yung honorarium ng mga teachers. Same here, sir, pwede namin i-assess din yung adjustment on the expenditures. So, kung okay lang po yun.
Kapag-isipan namin kasi baka may kaibahan eh. Yung isa kasi benefit na binibigay nyo sa people helping you. Okay yun. So that you can motivate or entice people to help the COMELEC administer our election. Itatakot ko kasi pagbigay ko sa inyo, baka pataas ng pataas, bayay super rich na lang yung pwedeng tumakbo eh.
Lagyan mo na siya ng parameters para...
Lahat pwedeng tumakbo, pero super rich na lang yung merong reasonable chance of winning. Ganun yung mangyayari.
Submit.
Kaya may pag-isipan namin. Any inputs from the, Mr. Albia?
I think, Mr. Chair, in the technical working groups and previous hearings, there was a talk also of at least adopting CPI for the 3 years. It's absent in these bills. So at least, again, it's driven by market forces. If you're always adopting the principle of market forces, then that's the best way. No? It's unbiased, no? And it's based also on present economic conditions. So why don't you just automatically put let's say, a CPI average of the 3 years, since it's we have elections every 3 years, to determine the adjustments. But then I agree that there should be a base year.
But then it would be COMELEC to announce the new rate following the formula in the law.
Correct. But at least there's a criteria. There's a criteria that it's based on the CPI.
So that is they're agreeing with you. But may cap, no? Merong hindi lang free na but CPI. Okay. Any other comment? Yes, Mr. Casibla.
Mr. Chair, I would like to support the proposal for a 3-year review. Well, it's already in a separate bill actually, in the political party reform. The CPI is the best way to adjust. I would also like to support the idea in the bill to increase across the board the spending limits, both of the parties and individual candidates. Precisely because the last time that we did that was more than almost 30 years ago. So the 10 pesos, the 5 pesos, and so on are really out of date. And The only thing that I would like for the committee to study more is the question of the difference between the rate for president, vice president, and so on, with particular emphasis on the party list. The reason there is party list is also a national constituency, and if you in one version of the bill, it's very low. The limit that was set, it's very far from the senator or president, vice president. So the question I would like the committee to address is why. Because if you're campaigning on a nationwide scale, more or less you will have the same level, at least not very far from each other. And the third comment that I had is that this bill should be reviewed later, particularly in the light of a possible political party reform bill, where we envision that many of the spendings actually will be done by parties, not by individual candidates only. What I mean here is that there may come a time when the spending limit for a specific candidate is not that important compared to what the party will be spending. But I think the bill has a very laudable objective here to make realistic what is otherwise now being actually violated in practice. And the COMELEC, I think, is finding it hard to implement the campaign finance regulation, precisely because there is an unrealistic level that is characterized.
Actually, I worry more about the local candidates. You have 50,000 voters, you're running for mayor, you are allowed 150,000 pesos. And then you comply with the law, you file a SOSE stating that you did not exceed 150,000 pesos. So the law now forces our people to lie. Pagdating sa senator, kaya naman eh. In my case, 150 million, di man ako makakaabot talaga na 80 million, 90 million, kaya naman eh. Pero sa local, mas kawawa. And they all file SOSE under oath. Any other comments? So sa details lang po tayo. It's in the details now. The actual amounts plus the CPI mechanism, no, is requested by NAMFREL. Are you speaking for NAMFREL, Eric? So any other comments? Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, pwede ba kaming humingi din ng tulong, sir? Because right now, the Campaign Finance Office is merely a de facto office within the COMELEC. Maybe we can discuss this with the TWG. Maybe you can help us na gawin nating department, sir, para mapondohan yung pag-create ng Campaign Finance Department within COMELEC. Kasi parang de facto kami, sir. Wala kaming
because of the workload, the number of reports
yes,
to be reviewed,
we need CPAs,
but
lawyers.
I'm discussing with the Senate President if we can do it in one shot with this bill, but since it's a different topic, we will come up with a separate bill for this. But at least we get your idea.
And the last thing, sir, is although it is retroactive in nature, considering that it affects criminal offenses, baka pwede rin ilagay, sir, sa bill or sa batas na talagang retroactive yung effectivity. Para klaro ba, sir? Kasi yung mga pending, kapag na-approve yan, we will dismiss it. So para wala ng discussion, although under penal laws.
Yes, the spirit of criminal law.
It's
Favorable,
retroactive. Pero mas maganda, sir, naka-state doon para kami rin, hindi kami mag-aalanganin to dismiss yung mga benefit ng batas.
Okay, so we will now form a technical working group, Secretary, for the two topics, subject matters, no? The ad rates as well as the ceiling, the allowable expenditure per voter of candidates. We will invite you, your groups, to help us. Kasi sa details na ito, matter of amount, what is now the reasonable amount, Siyempre, may kanya-kanya tayong basis kung ano yung reasonable amount. Even siguro yung original amount was just also plucked from thin air but using some assessment. So magtulungan po tayo rito. The committee secretary will inform, of course, the COMELEC and the NGOs as far as the month, tulong kayo doon, as far as the allowable amount to be spent by candidates, and then the industry players in the broadcast TV and print for the other bills. So any other matter, Mr. Senate President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, congratulations. Thank you very much for handling your committee and for calling the hearing. Just a word of caution to COMELEC. If there's a way you can scare Smartmatic, do so. If not, I tell you, I don't trust it. And you have to watch out in the 2019 elections. I think it's a very fair warning to you. Hindi parehas yan.
So, in addition to your official response to the issues raised in the privilege speech of the Senate President, I will adopt now the suggestion of Attorney Chong for you to submit raw log. The raw logs. The raw logs, hindi daw yung printed kasi pwede daw galawin yun eh. Start submitting raw logs specifically relevant to the privilege speech. Yung May 8, the early transmission. So May 8 and then May 9 ng before 7 p.m. ba nag-close nun? So yun yung relevant na time. Okay? So raw logs in addition to printed copies. Yes, ED.
Sir, may we also request for a copy of Attorney Chong's presentation so we know what he's talking about?
The committee will require him to yung PowerPoint niya lahat. He has to give it all to you.
And finally, sir, for the ads, ako pwede isama sa TWG yung sign language para maging inclusive yung ating mga ads or TV.
So, ano idea niyo, sir? Kasi ang ad candidates ang gumagawa ng content. So, to require now the candidates na yung ad nila, may sign language na doon. So, pwede pa nga rin mayroon siguro rin ang tawag doon. Closed captioning. Yeah, good point. I think that is germane to the subject matter. We can add that. So, COMELEC will also sit in the TWG, and can your representative champion that, please, that point?
We will do that, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so one last appeal to the COMELEC. Please learn from our past experiences. Wag na po paulit-ulit. Okay, so one appeal lang kasi. And then we see you again in the JCOC on the AES, August 6. So thank you very much, everybody. Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. The hearing is hereby adjourned. To look into that angle nga na gano'n na tama nga, may this kandidato may entitled sa discount on paper, but in reality I cannot get the airtime that I can now afford because of the discount, because sasabihan ako na wala na, fully booked ang airtime. So can we look at that angle and then pag-usapan natin how to solve that, kasi that's a form of discrimination. They can open up time slots discounted to favored candidates, and then sa iba sasabihin puno na. Pero that's beyond the scope of the pending bills kasi ito discount lang. Very good point. Mr. President, you opened our eyes to this one. Bakit may karanasan ba kayo, sir?
Mr. Chairman.
Sa broadcast, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Secretary Coloma.
Mr. Chairman, dun sa obserbasyon ng Senate President na maaaring mas puno yung ating mga kapatid sa broadcast. Sabi ko ng mga kasama ko dito, sa amin nyo na lang ipasa sa print. Mas marami kaming space. Kaya lang po, kailangan i-consider din sa kasalukuyan, may limit po doon sa batas o sa COMELEC rules na up to 1/4 page lang po yung aming
at 3 times a week.
At 3 times a week lang po. So may limitation sa amin. Kung ililift po yun, mas marami talagang space na available.
Pwede, Mr. Chair, I think we should study that. Para lumakas yung print kasi hindi exorbitant ang presyo eh. Hindi exorbitant. Yung frequency man lang, yung frequency. Kung hindi man yung size, yung frequency. Di ba? Alisin yung limit.
Thank you for that input, Secretary. Yes, Director Jimenez.
Mr. Chair, I'd also like to point out that most of the bills don't touch on online advertising either. So, we saw in 2016 how effective online activities were. Baka for 2019, we might be looking at an environment na mas relevant ng online advertising pa than it was before. But it's not regulated at all. So that might be something that the committee would like to look into.
Well, that is very, shall I say, virgin territory. Because we will be walking on eggshells, Mr. Chairman. Because, for example, in my, let's say, a candidate who has 5,000 followers on Facebook, if he places his ad in his web page, his ad, vote for Sheriff Abbas, for mayor, or let's say for senator, and his 5,000 followers repost it or share it. How can we control the number? Ngayon, if lagyan natin ng control ng specific number, and a candidate who is against or competing against Chairman Abbas will repost his ad more than the limit, disqualified. Madaling laruin yung social media dyan, yung internet, danger. I think, as I said, pag-aralan natin mabuti yan, we will accept or we will wait for suggestions from Comelec on how to go about this.
We will wait for ideas from the Comelec. But in the meantime, ito na muna that the TV, radio, and print ad rates which we are regulating in this bills. So from the KBP, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Attorney Hularban representing the KBP. The KBP would like to express their support of the objectives of this bill in ensuring the dissemination of wider dissemination of information and political issues during election. Among them by the increase in the discounts of political advertisements, which can be approached in various ways, Your Honor. We will be submitting suggestions because it's either greater discounts or redefining the basis for the discounts. But definitely the KBP will support this and ensure that its members also support that move of KBP. So we will be submitting our recommendations, Your Honor, during the TWG. By the way, in response to the observation that the candidate must ask for a discount, actually the law requires the network to give the discount. So it need not be asked by the candidate, Your Honor. But it is true that there are limitations on available commercial time. Actually, with or without the election, the industry has already set a limit to advertising time. So we run the possibility of violating that self-regulatory imposed limit unless maybe the law will require us to increase that number. Right now, for the information of the committee, the limit for radio advertising is 17 minutes per hour. In TV, it is 18 minutes in TV. And it is a self-imposed regulation to ensure that there is viewer and listenership. It's a protection to the
listening and viewing public, Your Honor. Otherwise, the hour will be filled with advertising materials. But maybe in working together, we can, during a specific period, adjust it so that it can either have two effects, Your Honor. By increasing the number of available, reasonable, available political time or advertising time, the rates might effectively lower. I don't know, I'm guessing here. But it should because of the supply and demand principle. Those are just suggestions. So we can come up with more during the TWG, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, now that it's been mentioned, might as well ask COMELEC on how they would categorize a certain advertisement on television. Let's just focus on television. Example, like what we're experiencing in our television program on Channel 7, the noontime show. In an hour, we're limited to 18 minutes. There are times that we use we use 10 minutes in one sweep because we want 1 hour of no advertising.
Yeah.
There was even a time that we had 2 hours and a half of no advertisement. Okay, just to make sure that the story and the entertainment is all there. But then we lump it into 180 minutes or 110 minutes. Now, if the regular rate is the regular allowed self-imposed time is 18 minutes, then COMELEC can easily classify that into, let's say, a 30-second there, a 15-second there. Now, how would COMELEC classify what television programs are doing now, especially live television programs, of advertisements within the show and not a commercial? How do you classify that?
Game sponsored by...
Wala na time yan.
Sa radio, AOB, announcements on board.
Wala
tayo nun.
Because we discussed this with COMELEC before. The advertising outside of the regular spot, for example, a background poster, is considered time exposure. So if the name of the candidates is in a tarpaulin, that's being counted by COMELEC.
The name of the candidate. But what if there is nothing that says there, vote for him? Yes, COMELEC answer or confirm the statement of Attorney Lampa.
Basically, sir, we're looking at that as a form of native advertising, which is still advertising. Yung absence ng word na vote for or vote really immaterial because as long as you're presenting yourself, it accomplishes a political purpose, which is to increase your visibility, increase your recall factor. So it's still partisan political activity. So political pa rin.
So you mean, let's say a fellow is being interviewed and he's wearing a T-shirt and the T-shirt says Pimentel. He's being interviewed on TV about a car accident.
Opo. I think, sir, we have to nuance that naman. Kasi kunwari, if the person is being interviewed and it's a newsworthy interview, then news yan. And the political advertisement or the political component is not the main point of the exposure. No? So basically, the fact na naka-t-shirt siya na partisan, that could be treated as incidental to what is happening, which is newsworthy. So,
alright, so
baka hindi mo yan.
Okay. A game show. The contestant is wearing a T-shirt says Pimentel. He is a contestant.
Yan ang sinasadya ni Pimentel yun.
Mapag-uusapan yan sa pag-figure ng gastusin. Again, it will all come back down to what was the primary purpose of the exposure. Again, kung yung kandidato,
walang masuot sa tao eh. Gusto niya suot eh.
Pero ang problema, Senator, kumbaga yung konteksto, yung overall nung buong programa ang titingnan mo niyan. Kung yung buong programa ay nakaanggulo sa...
Kung obvious na ginakampanya si Pimentel.
Yan.
Yan, pwede mong bilangin.
yung ilan ng minutes ng exposure niya, gano'n ba?
Your Honor, in fact, there's an example. If I were campaigning for myself, and there's a poster of Attorney Poblador, it's counted with him also.
And I think the only exception is if the exposure is because of a newsworthy subject matter. I think that's the only exception to it. Beyond that exception, for example, if you just show the color, and the color refers to a party, that is already counted against you. Yes, it's part of this definition.
Really?
The color, the identification.
Maybe in other jurisdictions where a color pattern is distinctly identified with the party. Dito, wala pa. We have not attained that level yet na may a color means a party. Wala.
Nasa implementing.
Which one again?
The
Yes.
colors, even the colors, that's part of the implementing.
Part of the implementing. But the
Implementing rules of what? Of the
fair election.
Fair Elections Act? Color?
No, I think what's being referred to is that in some cases, colors which may be identified with a particular faction or political party will be considered to a certain extent partisan political.
If I'm wearing yellow in my television show.
Yeah, I think in application it's more of, for instance, on election day, a mass of people, they show up in a particular precinct and they're all wearing the same color, and it's a color identified with a particular political faction, then the BEI might say that that's campaign.
During election day?
Yes, sir. But for ads, hindi naman yan na-apply.
It doesn't apply during the campaign period.
Okay, back to the bills. The worry of some is that 1 year before, i-increase daw yung rates because that's the rate to be applied during election time. So, as chair of this committee, I'm entertaining. I'm telling the industry players as well as the NGOs. I'm entertaining the idea of not using just 1 year, but averaging maybe 3 or 5 year period of your published rates. Is that alarming to the industry if we do that? To be the basis where we will apply the discount.
Average of 3 years.
Your Honor,
as your published rate.
Well, we'd like to dispel the notion that we increase only during an election period. Actually, we do increase every year. Averaging might be a solution. Might be a solution to rationalizing the basis for the discount. We're not averse to that, Your Honor, as long as it is rationalized.
Year on year.
It will be the average of published rates over X number of years. That is where we will now apply the discount. Okay? So medyo we have
Mr. Chairman, the government will agree that really the intention of the law, and we should clarify this now, 120 minutes per candidate.
6%.
Mataas pa nga yun eh.
120 minutes per candidate, sir, but I think ang palaging nirereklamo sa amin, especially pag nagsusulat na kami ng implementing rules and regulations, is that it can get a little constrictive sa candidates. No, we have in fact in a certain election applied that, pero the next election sobrang dami na nagrereklamo na ginawang per station para mas lumawak ng konti. Ang problema, Mr. Chairman, is that doon sa batas, wala ngang qualification kung ano yung reckoning point mo. Ano yung 120 minutes per candidate per what? Again, so is it per station, and then there are different kinds of ads that cross over certain categories. Medyo maganda siguro kung ma-clarify natin yun.
Kasi ito, ang COMELEC, yan ang nakakapi namin kayo dito. 120 minutes per candidate, palagay natin, per station, na sinabi ng Supreme Court dahil may nag-petition, hindi ko alam kung siyas pa nag-petition. Petition sa Supreme Court, yun daw batas, hindi mali daw ang interpretasyon. Ang interpretasyon dapat daw is marunong pa sa aming mga author
Kami nagsabi ng 120 minutes per candidate, eh, sila na nagsasabi 120 minutes
Inoverall
per
sila
station.
ng Supreme
Palagyan
Court.
natin. Okay, 120 minutes. Let's take Channel 2. Nandito ABS eh. Magkano yung average cost ng 30-second there in the 2016 election?
Hindi ko
almost 1 million. 1 million. Pero sa prime time, 1 million eh.
Yeah.
O 1 million, 120 minutes,
120 million.
ilang 240 million. Yes, sir. No? Sa Channel 2 pa lang yun. Yes. More or less, ganun din sa Channel 7, baka mas mura ng konti. Pagpalagay mo ng ganun din, 240 million, 480 million na. Magkano limit ng isang kandidato?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, yun nga po yung point doon. Meron kang limit na broadcast airtime, pero meron ka ring spending limit.
Kaya nga, the spending limit is still the what?
10 pesos.
5 pesos per candidate.
Yes, sir. For President, 10 pesos. Senator, 5 pesos.
5 pesos per candidate.
3 pesos if you have a political party, 5 pesos if you're an independent. That's per voter.
Okay, so 5 pesos
Right.
per voter. And how many voters?
In 2016, around 56 million.
56 million. 56 million, 5 pesos times 56.
280.
280. Kalahati lang yun eh. 480 yung ano eh.
Yes, sir.
Tapos eh, dalawang TV stations ka pa lang naglalagay.
TV pa lang yun.
So it's impractical
Wala pa kami
na
dun.
gagawin ng Senado or ng Kongreso na 120 minutes per station. Imposible eh, because it is violative of the law sa COMELEC, sa Federal Elections Act.
Mr. Chair, as far as the COMELEC is concerned, syempre, of course, we support your efforts towards this. But I would like to point out also that that is the responsibility of the candidate. Yung candidate ang magtitimpla ng expenses niya kung saan niya gusto ilagay yung pera. Just because you have a 120 minute limit, hindi ibig sabihin sasagarin mo yun or kailangan mong sagarin. So it really depends on how the candidate chooses to use his campaign funds and where to place the expenses. So ang point lang po is that I think ang point lang ng decision was that mabigyan ng freedom yung kandidato na mag-decide. Kasi kung 120 minutes sarado, as in that's it, that's all, considering the number of broadcast areas, the number of stations, the number of possible outlets, marami silang mami-miss out na hindi nila malalagyan ng placement. I think yun po yung argumento noon. And that ultimately, even if you have 120 minutes to use up, you don't have to use them all up if it's outside of your budget.
I will just amend your statement, Director Jimenez, when you said kandidato, leave it to the candidate na siya mag-decide. Dadagdagan ko yung may amenda ko yun. Hayaan mo yung kandidatong mayaman ang mag-decide. Yun ang ibig natin sabihin, ano?
Lahat naman po ng spending limit ay ultimately pabor sa mayamang kandidato.
Yun nga, kaya nga we were hoping na kahit pa paano, the Committee on Electoral Reforms will be able to, with your help, with COMELEC, will be able to find a middle ground na may laban-laban naman yung
SP, the mere fact that Congress put a cap on the airtime for TV and radio, no matter kung per station or per candidate, totality yun, meaning to say, sa mind ng legislator, we need to put a limit on spending. Yun yung meaning nun, whether per station or per candidate.
Yep.
So, let's be true to the real intention, which is total airtime. Yun yung sabihin nun eh. 180 total radio exposure per candidate, 120 total TV exposure per candidate. Ako rin, yung practicing lawyer ako, pagbasa ko, yun ang impression ko. Nagulat nga ako sa Supreme Court case na first station. But we have here GMA pala, Attorney Maria Luz Delfin is here. So maybe she wants to say something. Bakit na palayo ang GMA sa inyo?
Unintentional. Subliminal.
Baka Baka magsikuhan.
Yes, Attorney Delby, please.
The network will be submitting its formal position paper. Nevertheless, we'd just like to express that we also subscribe to the objective of the law to have an informed electorate through the discussion of political issues during the campaign and prior to the campaign, for them to vote wisely, and of course to afford the candidates a level playing field. However, we would also want Congress, the Senate, and the House, of course, to consider the business operations of the media outlets and to allow the market forces to dictate the rates that will be charged to the candidates.
That's right. That's right.
Market forces will dictate the published rate. Then the law will mandate the discount from the published rate.
That's
to
right.
prevent this artificial spiking or the suspicion of spiking the year before, we will average it for X number of years. Ma'am, that's a plan. Is the plan acceptable, ma'am? Ganun ang plan. Yes, Ms. Ako.
Whatever happened to the plan that government subsidize part of this spending so that even the poor can afford to be able to campaign?
Not really subsidy, but a purchase of COMELEC hour. Yun.
No.
I think that's the fairer.
No, it will be the account of the. It will be deducted from their tax payment of the air, of the, let's say, ABS-CBN and Channel 7. They can credit that airtime that they give free to, let's say, 100 candidates. A certain amount of time, if that can be inserted in the law, so that even the poor people can afford to be in the television.
We will study that, but one approach also is the COMELEC hour. At least meron din ng poor na exposure na. Pero ando pa rin si Rich, kasama pa rin yun kasi di sila dapat mag-discriminate. But we will study, there's no pending bill.
Yeah, but can we have that? Because in other governments, they do pay for they subsidize, the candidate's time. So if we have enough.
If your group can draft a bill, submit to us. If you like it, then we will also file it. So, okay na tayo dyan. Yes, Barbie.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, we'd like to register a reservation or even opposition to the idea of averaging the published rates. You see, in our industry, we don't do it year in, year out. We only make our adjustments because of competitiveness. We only make the adjustments when it's warranted by particularly operational costs and materials. So therefore, if you average it out, the past rate will pull it down and therefore might not be viable for us. So medyo caution lang doon, Mr. Chairman.
Sige, of course, we will invite the industry players when we now finalize the bill in a technical working. But we will pursue these bills because agree naman kayo lahat sa purpose of democracy. Democracy is already expensive. We should not make it more expensive. So, yun ang gawin natin. But a good point on that. I think we should not distinguish print from the broadcast.
Mas guwapo naman kami, sir.
Because
I object.
No, because to be honest, the complaints that we have received do not really involve the print.
Yeah. Kami
But may I also remind the public, and everyone else, that most of the news from television and radio come from the print.
That's correct.
Oh, sila source talaga kung tutusin Di ba? Sila pinagkukunan ng istorya Tutusin. Hindi naman lahat, pero all the time. Kasi lately, ang isa sa mga ikinalulungkot ko, karamihan ng mga news broadcast ngayon, CCTV. Tingnan nyo. Puro galing sa Facebook. Ang mga news, puro galing na lang sa Facebook
Very true.
CCTV, hindi na yung legitimate journalism.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, but let me just